Hello, ladybugs. Today I have some really fun cards to show you, and we're going to talk about math because usually on Wednesdays I like to do a math activity. So I don't know if you know it, but we have been learning math all year long. And sometimes people say, well, what have we learned about math? I don't remember you ever telling me we're doing math. But we've done a lot of fun things over the year where we're learning about math concepts, and that's kind of what you learn about before you actually do math like they do. Maybe if you have an older sibling, when they're in elementary school, you do a lot of adding and subtracting and dividing, and when you get bigger, geometry and things like that. But we've been doing those kind of things the whole year, and maybe you don't know it. And let me show you some really fun pictures to show you what I mean. This card says, what comes next? So you have a cube, purple cube, and a green bear, and a purple cube and a green bear. What comes after the purple cube? Well, you guys know that, right? The green bear. This card is called What Comes Next. It's talking about patterns. And patterns are definitely something you look for when you do math. And we've done lots of patterns all throughout the year when we do our calendar, right? That was so much fun. So if you know how to do a pattern, and I've made some videos about patterns too, then you are doing math because math has patterns in it. Okay, so we learn about patterns. We do math when we learn about our shapes. This picture says, find the rectangles and squares. Tell about them. So I bet you can see which are different because you guys know your shapes, right? We've been doing shapes, having fun with shapes all year long too, even when we did our famous artist. Remember some of the artists really like squares or circles and things like that. So here we have a big square, and here we have a rectangle, right? So shapes, if you know your shapes and your patterns, then you know math. Oh, here's another shape card. It says, find the circles, find the ovals, tell about them. And we did a drawing today. Remember, in the Zoom class we made pigs, and remember we started with the oval shape, and then we made a circle around the oval to make the pig's nose, which was kind of sideways like that, right? And then a bigger circle around the pig's head. And sometimes we've looked through our classroom for different shapes. Circles and squares, triangles. We played a game where you guys run and get those kind of shapes and bring it back. So if you know shapes, then you know math. Math is also about measuring. And remember, we've done some fun experiments with measuring things. This one says, which holds more, which holds less? Do you remember when I did the video, or you can go back and look, with the water, and I poured it from one container to the next, and we were trying to see which holds more? And this is what this picture is all about. What holds the most here? Oh, do you think this little pouring thing holds a lot? Or do you think this pitcher with the orange juice holds more? That measuring is all about math, right? So if you've been measuring, you've been doing math. This is also a form of measurement. The card says, which is heavier, which is lighter? And they have some bricks in a wheelbarrow here. And let's see, which wheelbarrow do you think would it be harder to push? This one or that one? Well, if you said this one, you are correct. This one only has 3 bricks in it, and this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, And remember I read that book about Mighty Maddie? And her dad wanted her to pick up her room. So she went through the house and she weighed things, deciding if they were heavy or if they were light. That's part of measuring. This is also part of measuring, and we've definitely done this in class. Which is longer, the marker or the paintbrush? So what is longer, the marker, the orange marker, or the paintbrush? Oh, I know guys know the answer to that, the paintbrush, right? What about what's longer, the scissors or the eraser? The scissors, right? Again, you are measuring. And remember, we've measured with the measuring tape and a ruler sometimes, or sometimes we use like cubes and other things to measure when we didn't have a ruler or a measuring tape available. Oh, and we did this too. What can you measure with each tool? Well, that looks just like the one we have at our school, right? And I brought it home. And again, you're weighing which is heavier. Remember, I put the candle in one side. I did a video and I can't remember what I put in the other, but the candle is definitely heavier. Oh, and here's a measuring tape. And here's like a ruler. Oh, and look at we did it with the squares too. They have 3 squares here. If they don't have a ruler, you could use something to measure to see which one was longer. This is a measuring cup for baking. This measures the temperature outside to see if it's hot or cold. This is a scale, and it measures how much you weigh. Probably when you go to the doctor's, you stand on one of those and they record your weight. So measuring, we've done a lot of measuring, and that is doing math. Bet you didn't know all this, right? Another thing that we do in math is we talk about time. We talk about time, not just telling time, but other things. So this card says, what happens first? What happens next or last? So let's see, you've got 3 pictures. Looks like they're doing some construction. What do you think comes first when they're building a house? I think this one, right? They have to pour the cement for the bottom of the house. Right there, they just have a hole. They don't even have a house. And then they've got to build the house with the frame. So now they're putting the outside together, the outside walls, and then they're finishing it here with the roof. Yeah, so this comes first, next, and last. So we're talking about time. Remember we did that fun game where Isabel's birthday, and we picked the picture that we thought would come first, next, and last in the middle. Yeah, that's the same thing. You're telling time. You're talking about time. And that is definitely a math. This is another way that we tell time. Maybe some of you know how to look at a clock and tell time, but you'll learn that. But I bet a lot of you know how to tell time by a digital clock, right? We do our calendar every day. We are talking about numbers and time when we do our calendar. Okay, this is like a little diary where you can write down. They don't use them as much anymore. People have them on their phone. But you write down what you have to do each day. Okay, so time is, if you're talking about time, you're doing math. We also talk about position. So position words can be math words. So this card is who is inside the playhouse, who is outside. So in and out. They're opposites, but they're also talking about position words, right? That's a word I couldn't think of. So who's outside the playhouse? Oh, the male person. And who's inside the playhouse? There's a little girl, a little boy, 3 little girls, and a little kitty cat. Oh, and some fish too. So those are position words. If you're talking about that, you're talking about math. Oh, here's some more position words. I think Miss Carla one time did a really fun experiment with you guys. what is under the bridge? What is on the bridge? So under and over. Those are, gosh, I keep forgetting that word. Those are position words. They're also opposite, right? Under and over. Oh, so who's under the bridge? The boat, right? And who's over the bridge? The car. The car is over the bridge. Good. Oh, here's some more position words. I really like that whole category. There's a lot of fun games you can play. What do you see? Tell where it is. So if I said, where are the dump trucks? You would say they're on you wouldn't say they're on the top, right? And you wouldn't say they're on the middle. You would say they're on the bottom. Or if I said, where are the dinosaurs? You would say, they're in the middle. They're not on the top and they're not on the bottom. And where are the animals? They're on the top. Good. Position words are math words. And then we also talk about numbers, of course, because that's probably what you think. When you hear the word math, you think just numbers. But as we have seen, math is a lot more than numbers. So this card says, how many balls do you see? Count them. So should we count them? Let's count them all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 all together. But then we can break it down. How many soccer balls? 3, right? And how many orange balls? 2. And then we could add them. We could do adding, addition, and we've done that before when I was making those games with the tossing of the balls and things. And remember, we added the points. So 3 soccer balls plus 2 orange balls makes how many balls altogether? We already know the answer, right? 5. Good job. Oh, and here's more numbers. How many apples are there in all? So they want to know, how many apples do you have all together? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 apples all together. But then I could ask questions like, how many red apples? How many green apples? How many yellow apples? How many apples that are more than one color? And the answer to that is just 2, right? You could even do subtraction where you take it away. If I take away the 2 yellow apples, I had 8 apples and I take away the yellow. Now how many apples do I have left? 6, right? And that's subtraction. Adding and subtracting are part of doing math. Oh, this is also part of math. Which shows the whole? Which shows parts? So here they have a sandwich. This is a whole sandwich, right? It's not divided up. And they divided this sandwich into how many parts? 2. So that's each part is a half. And then you have a pizza. It's a whole big round pizza. They divided it up. How many parts of the pizza do you have now? 4, right? Dividing is also part of doing math. Well, there's a couple more cards here and we're almost done. Doing math is also about, well, it's called geometry, and it's just making sure that both sides are equal. So do they match? You have some butterflies here and another little bug. I'm not quite sure what kind that is. Do both sides match? It looks like they do. Sometimes in nature they don't match, but usually they do. Okay, so you're making sure that each part matches the other part. Okay, that's also part of doing math. Oh, and then you're comparing. Comparing things is also about doing math. So here we have some helicopters and fire engines and a police car and an ambulances. So you could have fun with this card in a bunch of different ways. You could add them all up together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You could take away the ambulances, and then how many would you have? You could subtract. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 8 take away 2 equals 6. You could put them in groups. You could just do, how many helicopters do you have? 3. How many fire engines? 2. How many police cars? 1. How many ambulances? 2. And then you could put the whole group together and say, what are all these things that move? What are they all part of what group? Are they part of the food group? Are they things you can eat? Are they part of, well, that's kind of a tricky question. I was going to say, are they things you could play with? Well, if they were real, a real helicopter, a real fire engine, and a real police and ambulance cars, you could not play with them, right? But if they're toys, these are all toys. They're part of the toy group. Or you could say they're all vehicles. They're all vehicles. Even though they're different, they belong to the vehicle group. Or they're all ways to get somewhere. Admittedly, you probably wouldn't want to go in a police car or an ambulance somewhere. But maybe it would be exciting to ride on a fire engine or a helicopter somewhere. So do you see all the kinds of math that you've been doing the whole year that you probably didn't even know that you were doing math? So if somebody asks you, do you do math at school? You can say, sure. Sure, we learn about all kinds of things. Measuring, shapes, patterns, time, numbers, adding, subtracting, and those are all things that are doing math. Okay, ladybugs, I hope you had fun looking at those cards, and maybe next Wednesday we will do another fun math activity. Maybe I'll pick something from one of these cards and we can do that game. Okay? All right, have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.